If you want to be clean, use this. If you want to smell good, use this. If you want to be clean and smell good, use this and this. If you want to be clean all day, use this. If you want to be clean, smell good all day, use this, this, and this. If you want to be smooth, use this. If you want to be clean and smell good all day and be smooth, use this, 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 and this. If you want to be glowy, use this. If you want to be clean and smell good all day and be smooth and be glowy, use this, 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 and this. If you want to be moisturized, use this. If you want to be clean and smell good all day and be smooth, glowy, and hydrated, use this, 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 and this.
When I was in the 7th grade, my cousin got me a Victoria's Secret perfume set for Christmas. It was an assortment of body sprays with their corresponding lotions, including the most iconic scent of them all, Love Spell. Love Spell was one of those scents that was so distinctive that you could smell it from a mile away. You can catch a whiff of Love Spell on a girl walking down the halls or in gym class or in the lunchroom, and you knew that she was that girl. Me and the middle school girlies used to be sure to keep a Love Spell body spray and a lotion in our backpack. And we would spray it on ourselves in between class periods so that we could smell fresh and clean all day long. I could smell that scent right now and be brought back to 2006. While Victoria's Secret no longer holds the same cachet that it did in the early 2000s, the desire to smell good all day is still alive and well, and hygiene influencers on TikTok are capitalizing off of it.
If you want to smell good all day long, this is the only body or shower routine you'll ever need.
This video is for the girlies who want to smell good all day and night.
This video is strictly for the girls who want to smell like a vanilla goddess the whole fall, winter, spring, summer season.
Nobody wants to stank now, okay? Being clean is a good thing. Let's get that straight. But hygiene influencers have taken it a step too far, encouraging their followers to layer product after product so that you can smell like a pretty, precious, flowery princess all day long. As a girl, I understood why I allowed myself to be consumed by such insignificant preoccupations, but as an adult, as a grown woman, I cannot help but think that this obsession with body butters and body oils and perfumes and body scrubs and smelling good all day kind of stinks. Let's discuss why turning your bedroom into Bath & Body Works might smell sweet, but reeks of insecurity, overconsumption, and performative hygiene. Our bodies and personal care should be one of the most, if not the most, private aspect of our lives. What goes on in our showers, which is usually the most private part of your house, is often kept to oneself. But social media has gotten to such a superficial and vain extent that now our showers are a place for content. And our refrigerators too. See my Clean Talk video for more information on that. Shower talk and perfume talk are popular niches that garner millions of views on videos of women giving tips on how you can smell good all day, no matter where you are or what you're doing. Excessive perfume collections permeate the dressers and vanities of these influencers. Hygiene products permeate dedicated shelves, which they regularly restock every week or two. And body washes in aesthetic packaging permeate their showers. And by smelling good, I don't just mean a lack of body odor. They don't just mean by simply showering, wearing deodorant, calling it good. They mean by lathering your body with strongly scented body washes, on top of scented perfumes, on top of scented body butters, on top of scented body oils. All of this performative hygiene begs the question, why do women have to smell good all day long? Well, to answer that question, we have to go back to the 1920s. One of the first products to demand that women smell clean and hygienic all day long was Lysol. Yes, the same Lysol that you use to disinfect your kitchen counters or your bathroom, which I hope you don't use because it's kind of toxic, but we've all used it at some point in our lives. Yeah, that same Lysol was marketed as a feminine hygiene product back in the 1920s. Early advertisements encouraged women to use Lysol as a douche. Yes, that means you sprayed it on your lady parts. These advertisements played on women's fears of being undesirable and unclean, and the implication was clear. To keep your husband happy, you had to maintain a strict control over your bodily cleanliness. One infamous ad from Lysol depicted a woman proclaiming that because she didn't smell good enough, quote, my husband fell out of love. Or how about the one that proclaimed that, quote, she won college honors but flunked as a wife. One subject she hadn't learned was feminine hygiene with Lysol. Or my personal favorite, she was the perfect wife, except one neglect. She was lovely, she always took care to look smart and fresh, efficient. Her house was always neat, clean, and well run, economical. She knew how to make a budget, behave, affectionate. She was warm-hearted and tender, cheerful. She never nagged or moped or wept, but she was careless or ignorant about feminine hygiene. And her husband would gladly have traded most of her virtues to correct this one fault. These advertisements told women that their romantic failures or their marital problems could be blamed on a woman's failure to meet these unrealistic standards of hygiene. Lysol truly played on the fear that if you don't want your man to leave you, you gotta smell good all day long. It don't matter if you've been cooking and cleaning all day. You have to smell like an artificial, dainty little flower all day long if you want to keep your man. Needless to say that women spraying their lady parts with Lysol had devastating health consequences. Some of the severe side effects included chemical burns, infections, long-term reproductive harm, and even poisoning, which led to women losing their lives. By the mid-20th century, with increased regulation and more public awareness about all of these health issues, Lysol eventually abandoned their claims of using Lysol as a feminine hygiene douche, and they stuck strictly to household cleaning products. But a bunch of women already had paid the price, and Lysol wasn't the only brand to indoctrinate women with this idea that your man was gonna leave you if you didn't smell good all day long. Massengill, a popular douche brand in the 60s and 70s, launched ads that used phrases like, "Your mother taught you never to compromise your standards," to manipulate women into associating their personal hygiene with morality, social acceptance, and feminine virtue.
I've learned a lot about feeling fresh from my mother. But she's learned a lot about convenience from me. Like Massengill disposable douche.
These disposables were new to me. They certainly are convenient.
Pre-mixed and pre-measured. Sure does save time. Refreshing, too.
Well, you can trust Massengill to make a good product.
No wonder the Massengill disposable is so refreshing and convenient. It comes from a good family.
The subtext here is essentially a good woman is pure, is clean, is virtuous. And if you don't meet these hygiene standards, then you're going to be compromising your morality. These campaigns were promoting this idea that being cleanly and hygienic, down there, it's a rite of passage. It's something that's passed down from mother to daughter. They also dubbed themselves as the quote, freedom spray, suggesting that women would be empowered and independent if they sprayed their lady parts with this. These campaigns created a sense of shame around women's bodies. It portrayed that your natural scent was something that you needed to conceal at all times. And despite the fact that douches are also not good for you, they are known to disrupt your pH balance, they're known to disrupt your hormones, they're known to cause infections, but yet women were putting their health at risk in pursuit of a performative sense of femininity. And don't just take it from me, take it from gynecologists who say that all you need to clean down there is water and an unscented soap if you're gonna use soap at all.
When you're washing yourself, honestly, truly, you just need water. But if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't feel clean if I don't use soap, then you need regular, degular, boring, unscented, undyed, plain white soap.
But these companies did not care that they were putting women's health at risk, so long as they made a profit, of course. And today we have products like Vagisil and Summer's Eve and scented tampons designed to make our lady parts smell like honeysuckle lavender daffodils. I don't know how to say this without sounding vulgar, but our lady parts are not supposed to smell like honeysuckle, lavender, and unicorns all day long. These hygiene influencers will have you thinking that, but that's actually not healthy. Our bodies do not need to constantly be drenched in artificial scents in order to feel clean, in order to be clean. We have been conditioned to believe that our normal scents are something that we should fear, something that we should be ashamed of. Again, nobody's condoning stanking. Nobody's saying you gotta be ashy now. It goes without saying that doing basic things like showering and brushing your teeth, wearing deodorant, washing your hair, these are all things that we should be doing. But even so, you can do all those things and your natural scents are still gonna come through. Doesn't mean that you're not clean. According to these influencers and popular media that's targeted at women, because it's not just these influencers, it's a marker of femininity to have a collection of sugar scrubs and expensive body washes and perfumes, all in aesthetic packaging. So our constant urge to stay super squeaky clean all the time is due to decades of programming, of indoctrinating women to feel so much shame around their bodies if they're not perfect, if they don't look perfect, if they don't smell perfect. One simple soap bar, deodorant, lotion if you want to wear it, all those things can go a long way. You do not need a whole collection of items to stack onto yourself, to layer onto yourself, to feel clean, to be clean. I personally have one perfume. I own one perfume and I only wear it a couple times a year for special occasions. But these influencers be doing entirely too much. I touched on this in my self-care and overconsumption video, but I want to expand on it a little bit more. Not unlike Lysol and these douches, a lot of these body oils and lotions and body butters and perfumes, they contain toxic chemicals that are not good for us. And yet it's marketed to us as a way to take care of yourself. Many of these scented hygiene products contain synthetic fragrances, which are often listed as fragrance or perfume on the label. These fragrances are typically made from a mix of chemicals like phthalates, which are used to make scents last longer. Phthalates are known endocrine disruptors that can interfere with estrogen and testosterone production. And this disruption has been linked to reproductive health issues like reduced fertility, hormonal imbalances, and perfumes aren't required to disclose all of their ingredients because the law protects them under the condition of trade secrets. In other words, if these brands disclosed all of their ingredients, another brand could copy the formula and create the same exact perfume or lotion or body butter. And this is why they're not required to disclose all of the ingredients. Because of this, we really do not know the full scope of what harmful chemicals that we're putting in our bodies. It's marketed to us as that's what girls do. Who remembers that song, No Secrets, from the early 2000s? Anyone? Where are my obscure pop girlies? Anyone? It's marketed to us as that's what girls do. We have to stay fresh and clean all day. Meanwhile, all men have to have is one bar of soap, a toothbrush, and deodorant, and that's okay. But if a woman doesn't have a vanity filled with product after product to show that she's clean, it's like, what are you even doing with your life? But we do not have this same expectation of men. There's few, if any, male hygiene influencers, which I'm sure they exist because at this point there's an influencer for almost every niche, but there are few of them in comparison to female influencers. And it's not because men are somehow cleaner and don't need advice, because if you've ever lived with a man, you know they could use some hygiene advice. But there isn't a market for male hygiene influencers because men aren't preoccupied with smelling good all day and performing hygiene because they're not socialized to look and smell perfect all the time. Which brings me to my next point. A lot of this urge to perform hygiene is rooted in trying to attract the male gaze. If you look at these fragrance commercials, many times they have the same tropes reoccurring every single time, where a woman lures a man, he catches a whiff of her scent, and he stops dead in his tracks. And he's like, voulez-vous coucher avec moi? And she's like, oui. That's usually how it goes in these commercials. They're not literally saying these things, but this is what their body language is saying. He's galvanized by her overpowering feminine scent. And so we talked about that a couple of weeks ago in the context of these beauty rituals and skincare routines as well. It's all done to attract a man, to put a man under your spell. I mean, the perfume that I was wearing in the 7th grade was literally called Love Spell. Like, you were literally finna put a man under a spell and get him to fall in love with you because you were smelling so good. So it's like women were taught that we have to mystify ourselves and have a signature scent. Like, yes, I'm that girl. I'm Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct. This idea that we want to femme fatalize ourselves, which I just made up that word. But this idea that women always have to look and smell flawless, it's rooted in purity culture. And it places us on this hamster wheel of always trying to buy product after product to elevate our social status as women. Black women especially have to work twice as hard to show that we're clean. All because cleanliness, or the perception of cleanliness, has always been used as a moral barometer of who is worthy of respect and who isn't. A 2018 report found that Black women were more likely to use highly scented feminine hygiene products such as douches or feminine sprays. As writer and journalist Tayo Barrow wrote for Best Health, quote, during slavery, the association between dirtiness and blackness was prevalent throughout the British Empire. Enslaved Black people were often prevented from using soap and forced to live in unhygienic conditions. And yet the stigma that Black people are somehow inherently dirty prevailed. Racist imagery and soap advertisements in the 1800s, like Pure soap advertisements, depicted Black people as being dirty and unclean. Sabrina String spoke about this eloquently in her book, Fearing the Black Body, where she wrote, Black women were deemed to be too excessive in body and character, their alleged uncleanliness a justification for their subjugation. Hygiene rituals with Black women are often a response to systemic racism, like, let me prove that I'm clean, let me prove that I'm fresh. And this performance can be nauseatingly exhausting. This TikToker, Sierra Tati, put it very well in her viral TikTok.
Enough with the hygiene Olympics, okay? You're clean. We get it. Why is it that I have to take a shower for 7 hours? Why do I have to take 7 showers? Why do I have to have 2 pairs of panties with me at all times to change? Why is it that I'm not allowed to have my toothbrush in the bathroom? Why do I need every scent of Dove? Why do I need yoni wash, cream, oil, and exfoliant? Baby, my yoni is clean, mean, and pristine. She don't need all that, baby. She doesn't need all of that. I also don't need to take a shower 17 times a day. I'm actually okay. I'm actually okay. Dr. Bronner's, so y'all make fun of the men's. They use 3-in-1, but Dr. Bronner's is like a 100-in-1. I don't want to use that. Like, I'm sorry. I don't need my butt to feel like it just chewed gum. You know what I mean? I don't need that for it to be clean. Relax.
In the essay Tidy Whiteness, A Genealogy of Race, Purity, and Hygiene, written by Dana Berthold, she wrote, in the early US, not only was it the case that upper-class whites could afford an exaggerated aesthetic of cleanliness, but high-class purity and moral propriety became increasingly tied to the color white in general. We can't divorce the class dynamics of who can afford to keep up with this performance of cleanliness and who can't. Silvia Federici's book, Caliban and the Witch, Women, the Body, and Primitive Accumulation discusses how the regulation of women's bodies was used to enforce gender roles, class distinctions, and labor exploitation in the 16th and 17th centuries. During the enclosure movement in England, where public farmlands were seized and privatized, displacing working class women who were the principal gatherers of fuel, wild produce, and raw materials for household production, cleanliness was linked to class distinctions. And so the bourgeoisie positioned themselves as paragons of cleanliness. And they contrasted their refinement against the working class, who they perceived as uncivilized and lazy and unclean. Federici connects this to how access to resources like clean water and time for personal hygiene was deliberately restricted for poorer populations. And this ensured their subjugation. I mean, we're still seeing that in Flint, Michigan. They still don't have access to clean water.
Water's brown, has a bad odor. I'm afraid to even feed it to my cat or my dogs.
We should not have to pay for the water. It's nasty.
Where there's poor people, they could care less about giving them access to cleanliness. In the book, Federici states cleanliness was imposed as a moral duty, but only those with time and resources could achieve it. Thus, it became a mechanism of social stratification. And that class distinction is still alive and well today. Those who have homes big enough to dedicate entire shelves to their personal cleanliness, those who have money to afford a sugar scrub in every scent, those who can afford to have a perfume for when they go to bed, and a different perfume for when they go to the gym, and a different perfume for when they go to the grocery store. These are all women who live incredibly privileged lives that are completely detached from the working class. While poor communities struggle to have access to clean water, the amount of water these women are wasting in these marathon shower sessions is egregious. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, on average, a 5-minute shower uses 10 to 25 gallons of water, which is already a lot of water, for just 5 minutes. So can you imagine how much water these women are wasting in their long shower sessions when they're lathering on product after product after product? This is what happens when you're privileged and you can waste water with no consequences. When we see women showing off their excessive hygiene collections, they're showing off their wealth, or at least they want you to have a perception that they are wealthy. Because I haven't seen their tax returns. I don't know that they're actually wealthy, but they clearly have the disposable income to spare. I've said this before, most of the time it's those who actually have the disposable income, the discretionary income to spare. They're the ones who are the biggest overconsumers. And so we have to be asking, even beyond who could afford this, we have to ask, what is it really costing us? Hygiene influencers want you to believe that a virtuous, beautiful, successful woman can be found in the flick of a perfume spritzer or in the sheen of an overpriced body butter. But this isn't about hygiene, it's about insecurity. This is about a world that has taught us to fear our own bodies. This mountain of products is unattainable for most women. For most, rent is a struggle. For most, it's healthcare, groceries, or student loans that we're trying to manage. And yet these influencers parade their rainbow body washes as if excess is the standard. Yes, I'm sure these influencers, I know that they're young women and they're coming of age. They're in a stage of self-discovery where you can be insecure and you have a lot to unlearn still. But it's one thing to discover yourself alone, right? That's an internal process. Self-care is an internal process, right? But when you externalize that, When you're trying to encourage young and impressionable women to feed into the same cycle, that's when we have problems. Our planet is suffering under the weight of overconsumption. And when we participate in this charade, we're co-signing on a system that actually harms women, not only us, not only the young people who are watching it, but the women in factories who are making these items and getting underpaid and exploited and abused. We're polluting communities. These items expire before you can even use them because you have so many of them. And we're lining the pockets of billionaires. Hygiene is not about who has the biggest collection of body scrubs. It's not about who has the prettiest perfume bottles. It's about nurturing your mind. It's about nurturing your body. When I say nurturing your body, I don't mean by lathering it with body butters and body washes that are not good for the environment. I mean nurturing your spirit. Especially as someone who has allergies, I think it's just inconsiderate of your neighbor, because when I be smelling people who have too much perfume, it's just straight up tacky and inconsiderate of people who have respiratory issues like myself. When women are compelled to outspend and outshine and outgroom, it's not a performance of self-love. I get it. It's a survival mechanism that's born out of the systemic oppression that we face. Some of us more than others, but I do not want women to just survive. I want them to thrive. Toni Morrison once wrote, "If you want to fly, you have to give up the things that weigh you down." And these mountains of products, they're weighing women down. I will close this out by saying you are already worthy. You do not need a shelf full of body scrubs, body butters, perfumes, body oils to prove it. So that's all I've got for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on these excessive body butters, body oils, and body creams? Have you ever been the woman or the young girl who's been preoccupied with her scent to such a degree? How did you unlearn it? Are you actively unlearning it? Where are you in that journey? Because I know I used to be a Bath & Body Works girly too. Don't worry. Now, I never had a collection like these girls because I ain't never had money like that. Okay, never. I was able to unlearn that. Besides all that, if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you really liked it, then hit that subscribe button. We have plenty more content like this. If you want to see what I'm up to outside of YouTube, you can follow me on my social media profiles down here, as well as my Patreon, where you can contribute for $1.50 a month or $5 a month. It helps to support my channel. It helps to support my work so I can continue creating content like this for you. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you all next time.